One of the most challenging dilemmas of professionalism occurs in relation to privileged information a lawyer comes into contact with while representing a client. In this segment, we explore the different implications and different ways of resolving problems relating to privilege and confidentiality.
Because we exchange so much information with opposing parties in litigation, volumes and volumes of it, and we do it and now entirely electronically when we deliver 1 million documents on a memory stick or a hard drive. We send material out by fax. It's scanned and it's emailed. That exchange of information happens so quickly that it is inevitable that information will be disclosed inadvertently. One of the very first files I worked on after I was called to the bar was the Walkerton inquiry. And one of the things about a public inquiry is that most of them are very large animals and with masses of documentary production. And we were given 2 very large binders of documents. So I take our binders away, put them on my shelf, continue working on something else. About 10:30 that night, I got my voicemail light was blinking, and I checked the message, and it was a very panicked Government of Ontario lawyer who had left a message saying that tab 43 of the second binder of documents contained privileged information. They had released it inadvertently, and they wanted it back.
Early on in my career, I was probably maybe a third-year associate. I was involved in a very large matter with multi-million dollars at stake. In the course of receiving documents from the other side, there were many documents, and working in a room not dissimilar to this with a number of clerks and students and looking at documents, and I came across a document that within 2 lines I recognized as being the other side's advice to their client about the matter.
I was alone in the office at 10:30 at night, and I thought, I don't even understand really what the claim, the voicemail wasn't clear. It didn't say it was solicitor-client privilege. It didn't say whether it was litigation privilege. It didn't say whether it was a cabinet document. And I had that message, and the binder was on my shelf, and I knew that we hadn't looked at tab 43. We just hadn't got that far into the interview. And it was on my shelf, and I faced this dilemma of what to do. At that perfect moment, what do I do?
Well, I think you absolutely have no choice. I think that once you recognize what it is, and it only took me a couple of lines to do that, you know, regardless of what your human temptation might be, from a professional standpoint, there is no issue, there is no choice. And so as soon as I got to that second sentence, I stopped reading, and I told everyone in the room to stop looking at documents, and everyone stopped, and you know, I said, we're going to have to send this back, because it was inadvertently disclosed, and it would be improper for us to read it. And I then, of course, went to the partner on the file, because I was just the junior at that stage, walked into the partner's office, told him what had happened, and he said, yes, absolutely, we're going to package it up, we're going to, you know, write a letter telling them what happened, telling them that we, you know, didn't read it, and we're going to have someone walk it over there right now.
I decided that the best thing I could do would be to freeze the status quo. So what I did is I went to the binder and I opened up to the tab before, so I couldn't see what was below the tab that the government lawyer had left the question about, or raised the question about. Took the next 2 tabs and put them in an envelope. Signed it, sealed it, taped it, and thought, and put the time on it, which was at that point 10:30, which was I think 15 minutes after the call had been made. And dictated a memo to file saying that I'd picked up this message,
Right.
I hadn't looked at the document, I'd sealed it, and then I was going to think about what to do. Because I thought the one thing I could say perfectly candidly at that precise moment was, I'd never seen that document, I don't know what tab 43 was, and I could say that with complete candor to my colleague from the government. They say don't look at it. We can always fight down the line about whether or not the claim of privilege is proper. But what I don't want to do is change the status quo.